All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to our fourth Lunch and Learn. We are recording these sessions so they can be accessed on our website at a later date if you want to see it again or other board members would like to view and community members. As a reminder, these are for information sharing only. You will have an opportunity to ask questions at the end of the presentation, but in accordance with the sunshine laws, there will be no board business discussion or decision-making by our board of directors during this informational session. So today's featured agency is NAMI Athens, and we are joined by Tina Trimmer, who will be presenting an overview of the available services and resources. Thank you, Tina, and I will turn it over to you.
All right, well, thank you for having me. NAMI Athens has a long-standing relationship with the 317 board, and I've got my board president, Adrienne, on the call in case I missed anything, or she was around before I was, so maybe she'll have things to add. But I just put together a few slides to sort of outline what we're up to at NAMI Athens. So NAMI is a national organization. There are affiliates in every state. And then there are state organizations, and then there are local affiliates. And so I believe there are 44 affiliates in the state of Ohio, and we are one that has been around for over 20 years. We are a pretty strong and secure affiliate of NAMI Ohio and have been recognized as such, which is awesome. And it's because we have such a great community that supports our work and comes back and participates in our programming and shows up to our walks and our other events. And we are really fortunate to have the support of the 317 board. And so I'll give you a little bit more information about what NAMI does. Our mission is education, advocacy, and support for those with a mental health condition and their families. And so first, I was going to talk about education, what opportunities we have as far as education goes. Got a picture up there from last year's CIT class. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Could you tab me down, Marissa? I forget what order they go in. If you hit the button again, I think they're going to fly in each one. I animated it. There we go. Okay, awesome. Thanks. Okay, so one thing that and you can put them all up there, it doesn't matter. One thing we offer from NAMI as part of our mission statement in providing education around mental health conditions is a class. It's a NAMI branded class called Family to Family. We usually try to offer it once a year, if not twice, because it does run for 8 weeks and it's pretty intensive. And so it's a lot to ask of our instructors, but also our participants. And so we would like to offer it more often. It's been challenging through the pandemic because it is not so well received virtually, because it really requires a lot more investment and participation, and participants get really close, and so they've struggled with being able to do that virtually. They'd rather do it in person, and so we're going to try to get back on board with getting that in person. But it's an education class that goes over 8 weeks, and it covers many topics about mental health conditions. And it provides an opportunity. It's for the loved ones of those with a family member or close friend or a spouse or a child who is struggling with a mental health condition. And it's for them to spend some time learning about the conditions and then get support from one another. Something else that we are able to offer is mental health first aid. We have a board member who is a trained provider through Mental Health America. And she offers mental health first aid trainings throughout Athens. Oftentimes we sponsor those, or we at least co-coordinate, provide her with a helper, or help her secure space where she can provide those trainings. And she's done many of those trainings, anywhere from just community members to church members to the university, nursing students. And so it's a great asset. It's an opportunity for us to spread information and knowledge about how to help someone in a crisis. And so we're grateful to have that as part of our options for education. Another thing that we do is we participate with the crisis intervention team training that occurs every November. We are on the planning committee for that, and we participate by helping coordinate the financial obligations of that program, but also we invite those with lived experience, both family members of those with a mental health condition, as well as consumers themselves, and they participate by sitting on a panel discussion where they present some information about their history and their experience, and it gives those who are participating in the training an opportunity to talk to people who have actually experienced themselves or had a family member experience a mental health crisis in the community, and how that went for them and how it could have been different, and what services have really helped them. And so it just sort of gives a really human perspective to a training that is so vital to teach law enforcement and first responders how to interact with someone who's having a mental health crisis. And then prior to the pandemic, we had a speaker series. We have not picked it back up since the lull of the pandemic, but we have provided in the past about 6 times a year. We would provide a speaker at the Athens County Library, and that person had lived experience with mental health conditions. It would come in and tell their story and answer questions and sort of just be an inspiration for what recovery can look like, and how their life has been changed, or what course their life took because of what they've been challenged with, and then how they sort of worked with that in their lives. And so we hope to get back to providing that again in the future. And then next up is advocacy. So NAMI itself is a membership organization. And the reason I put this under advocacy is because what really helped me understand the value of becoming a member of NAMI at the national level is it provides us with the manpower and the financial backing to then be able to advocate nationally for the needs of those with mental health conditions. And so we encourage individuals or families to become members of NAMI, and that gives them access to some resources through the national organization, but it also allows us to be able to keep in touch with you locally, invite you to our annual dinner, invite you to our annual barbecue, keep you involved with what is going on locally and the support that we can provide. And so we just offer that as an opportunity if someone wants to become a member. Something else that we are responsible for through a perpetual piece of the Ohio Department of Mental Health budget, annual budget, is that they advocate, or they allocate some funds to us so that we may keep the Ridges cemeteries and a nature trail up at the Ridges. We keep those. We hire people to do maintenance on them. We have had people drag the pond and clean it up for us. We've had someone redo the walkways, and so we're responsible. And we've had folks in the past who have taken care of the graves. They've created frames to go up there and reset the stones or put the stones back together so that we can honor those who are buried at the Ridges. And so it's been a really nice opportunity because a lot of people want to walk that trail when they are visiting town. And so we had worked with OU recently to update that map and make it available on an app. And so that's been an exciting development for us during the pandemic. And so related to that, if you skip down one, you can see this picture at the bottom here is one of our Memorial Day ceremonies. And so every year on Memorial Day, we have a ceremony at the Ridges where we honor those who were buried there from when they were patients at the hospital there. And so we typically invite someone to come that has a family member buried there or had some sort of association with the hospital, and they might speak about their family member or tell us a little bit about their lives. And then we have a ceremony, and we have some speakers, and we have some music, and we have a color guard. And it's a really well attended and beautiful ceremony. And so that's a picture of that there, where we walk down and put a wreath on one of the graves. And so that's sort of related to our work up at the Ridges and with the nature trail. Additionally, we have a walk. It's called Walk the Walk for Mental Health Awareness, and we do it every October. This year is our 21st, and it's going to be happening on October 15th. We rally at the Athens courthouse at 11 a.m. We have a couple speakers, give out a little bit of information, and then it worked out really nicely. We used to end up at ABH, but due to COVID, they haven't really been comfortable opening up a large space for a large group, which is understandable. And so last year we walked Court Street, and then we ended up down by the river in a parking lot where we could all gather at the end there. And I think we're going to do it like that again this year because it seemed to work really well and not place folks too far away from where they parked. And we got to walk around Court Street, which was a really visible action, and just bring awareness to the fact that there are many of those living among us who are struggling with mental health conditions or our loved ones. And so we invite you to participate or check out our Facebook page and you'll get more information about Walk the Walk. Finally, I listed guardianship on here, and while it's not a current program of NAMI, it was born out of NAMI. And so a couple of years ago, I worked with the 317 board to become an adult guardian of folks with severe mental illness. And so I still serve as guardian, but this program was kind of born out of NAMI. And so I wanted to mention it's a really amazing way that we can, as an organization and as me as an individual, can continue our advocacy efforts by being able to provide guardianship services in our local community and advocate at all levels in the very complicated and sometimes difficult to navigate mental health system, healthcare system, court system. They all kind of interact. And so we've been fortunate to be placed sort of in the center there at the intersection of all these systems, where we can then advocate for the needs of those with a severe mental illness. And so that I wanted to just mention that. And then last but not least, we have our support slide. I'm going a little fast just because I know we only have a short time. I don't want to go too fast, but feel free to save some questions for me. So the third part of our mission is to provide support. And so twice monthly, we have a family support group, and it meets in the evenings on the first and third Thursday of the month. It's very well attended for many years. We have several group leaders that take turns leading that group. There are very specific things that they train to learn how to lead that group. It's confidential. We do it virtually right now, although we are hoping to find some in-person space again soon. But it's a really great way to check in with folks. I have people come to me every month and they'll send an email and say, hey, I've got a family member, I've got a daughter, I've got, my mother's struggling with mental health, and I could really use some support. And so there's a lot of folks that participate in that group that are seasoned with the system and have struggled with, supporting and loving someone, especially children of theirs that have a mental health condition. And so there's a lot of great information and great support that can happen in that group. We're not particularly active with Youth Move right now, but we have been in the past where we have partnered with NAMI Ohio to provide some guidance and support for youth in the area who have mental health conditions or have a family member that's struggling. And so just sort of generally being available for folks to turn to get, I get a lot of emails as well asking me like, do you know how to get someone into this clinic, or what are the rules at this facility? And so I oftentimes I'm just making the connections, but it's something I'm really happy to do because answers really help us guide and figure out where we want to go to get help for the people that we care about. We do provide we serve as fiscal agent to some other organizations. So we do that for like the CIT training, and we do it for the Athens County Suicide Prevention Coalition. And so that's just something else that we can do to provide support to other organizations in our community that we feel, work with our mission and also could use our support. We just happen to have a process that works for them. And so we're glad to participate in that way so that we can help them get their mission done by just providing this one little piece of help. And then another thing that I feel like falls under the support category is that sometimes when someone loses a family member, particularly if they die by suicide, we are sometimes mentioned in their obituary, and their family and friends are asked to donate to our organization. So we are really fortunate to receive those funds, but it's also an opportunity for us to connect with families who are struggling through a really difficult time in their lives and sort of help them find that support and find those linkages with resources that are going to support them through this really difficult time. And so we are happy to honor their family member, and we have done different things to to sort of honor their name and honor their memory on behalf of their families. And then I think I have a slide at the end that has some contact information in case you were interested. There's our general email address, our website, and then our Facebook is very active. We have an individual in the community who sort of serves as a volunteer and posts a lot of information and reshares a lot of things, and she does a fabulous job, and I'm really grateful for her help. And so I always tell people to check out our Facebook because it is very active. There's some discussion that happens there. She's really great about sharing NAMI Ohio and NAMI National information. And then you'll get information about our events and our support group reminders and stuff like that. And then same thing with our Instagram. Sometimes we have stuff on our story, or we just share some pictures of things that have been going on. And so if you want to check that out, you'll get to see more pictures of the ridges and the nature trail and the events that are coming up in October.